Good morning, everyone. I'm Kylie McDonough, and it is my pleasure as chairman to welcome you to our annual general meeting for 2024. As you're aware, the meeting is being held in hybrid form, and I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to our shareholders and stakeholders who are able to be here in person, as well as those joining us virtually this morning. A special welcome to the representatives of HLB Mayor Russell, our auditors, KPMG, our registrar, M Squared, our communications consultants, members of the press, and all other guests, and of course, our team members present. It is wonderful to see those of you who are able to make it and those already joining us online. Our citizens and neighbors are recovering from the ravages of Hurricane Beryl, and we acknowledge that many of our shareholders and associates have faced a difficult time. We are grateful that you have been able to join us, and we look forward to interacting with you formally during the meeting and informally afterwards over coffee and refreshments. As we continue to give thanks, I'm going to invite Director Dr. Stephen Lewis to lead us in prayer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can we stand as I also invite those of us who are viewing online to join us in a moment of prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, recent events with Hurricane Beryl serves to remind us that nature, life, and even businesses are a series of ups and downs. And although negative things happen and are often out of our control, we must remember that you are still God, you are still in control, and you are forever faithful. Whatever is happening to us at this very moment, the fact that you can hear this prayer, we have one thing to be thankful for. So, Father, we take this time from the hustle and bustle of life, our busy schedules, anxieties and worries, and we stop to recognize you for who you are and to give you thanks for your continued presence, your protection, your provision, your faithfulness, and your love. Things may not be perfect. Your word says in this world we will have trouble, but your word also says that you will never leave us nor forsake us, and we stand on this promise today. We look back on the past year with thanksgiving, and we eagerly look forward to the coming year with renewed hope, anticipation, and excitement for what you have in store for us as individuals, our families, as a company, and as a country. We give you thanks as always as a board for the privilege of leading this company, for the founding directors, the hardworking and diligent staff, our faithful partners, our referring doctors, our wonderful shareholders, and of course our patients who have all contributed to make this company what it is today. So as we begin our AGM today, we dedicate this space and this time to you. We ask that you direct the proceedings according to your will and your purpose. We pray for a successful meeting with no delays or technical issues. We also pray for free flow of ideas and communication between all interested parties. We also pray for wisdom, knowledge, and discernment. And these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Let me now introduce the members of the board who are here with us in person. So to my immediate left is Mr. Carl Townsend, Independent Director and Company Secretary. And of course, you have already met Dr. Stephen Lewis, who is an Executive Director. Beside him is Ms. Carolyn DaCosta, our mentor and Chair of the Corporate Governance and Remuneration Committee. Then we have Dr. Ann Bridgewater, who is a co-founder and Executive Director. Beside Dr. Bridgewater is Mrs. Keisha Anderson, our CEO, and Executive Director. Executive Director. And then we have Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan, Executive Director. Joining us virtually is Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, Independent Director and Chair of the Audit Committee. I would now like to extend apologies for Dr. Gordon Bradshaw, co-founder and non-executive director, who is unable to attend this morning. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, it is with heavy hearts that the board would like to recognize the profound loss of our beloved late board member, Dr. Leon Vaughan, who passed away during the course of the financial year. His presence has been deeply missed by the entire team at IPCL. Could we please now have a moment of silence to honor Dr. Vaughan? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Townsend will now confirm that there is a quorum for this morning's AGM and read the notice convening the meeting. The notice can be found on page 6 of the annual report circulated and also on the company's website.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Good morning, fellow shareholders. I can confirm that we have a quorum. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of Image Plus Consultants Limited, the company, will be held on Monday, July 15, 2024 at 10 a.m. Jamaica time in a hybrid format at the Terra Hotel Pavilion located at 17 Waterloo Road, Kingston 10, Jamaica, for attendance in person and via electronic means using the following virtual details below. The meeting is being held under the provisions of the Companies Act of Jamaica 2004 as amended to consider and, if thought fit, to pass the following ordinary resolutions. Resolution 1. To receive the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited accounts for the 12 months ended February 29, 2024. That the audited accounts and the reports of the directors and auditors for the year ended February 29, 2024, circulated with the notice convening the meeting, be and are hereby adopted. Resolution 2. To ratify interim dividend payment and declare it final. That the interim dividend of 3 cents per share paid on July 11, 2024, be and is hereby ratified and declared as a final dividend in respect of the year under review. Resolution 3. To reappoint directors retiring by rotation pursuant to Article 105. The directors retiring from office by rotation pursuant to Article 105 of the company's Articles of Incorporation are directors Dr. Stephen Lewis, Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan, and Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, who, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. That Dr. Stephen Lewis, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. That Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. That Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Resolution 4. To appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. That HLB Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby reappointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. Resolution 5. To approve directors' remuneration. That the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended February 29, 2024, as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. Dated this 20th day of June, 2024, By order of the board, Carl Townsend, Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Townsend. Now, Director Dr. Allison Vaughan will now take us through the protocols to be observed throughout the meeting.
Morning, shareholders. Meeting protocols. As we proceed, we ask you bear in mind the following. This meeting is being recorded and shared live. We have muted participants' microphones to reduce noise disruptions. For the Q&A section, questions will be taken physically and electronically periodically due to the meeting being held in a hybrid format. We'll take 2 questions from each shareholder to give everyone the opportunity to voice their concerns, but each shareholder may return at any time with additional questions. We'll take questions online and then take questions in the room afterward. For shareholders who may have additional questions, you may email them to shareholder@apexradiology.com. Speaking by attendees at the AGM via itinerary platform. Attendees who are participating electronically, you may indicate your desire to do so by clicking the speak icon located at the bottom of the screen on itinerary. The administrator will enable you to join the meeting to speak. Once acknowledged by the chairman, you may unmute and turn on your camera. You may also send an electronic message on the said platform via the Q&A section. If during the meeting any attendee has any electronic difficulties which affects the attendee's ability to participate in the meeting, identify other attendees, or to be identified by other attendees, you may send an email to shareholder@apexradiology.com to communicate your issue. The issue will then be reported to the chairman or the company secretary. The notice calling this annual general meeting was posted on the JSE's website on June 20th, 2024, and a physical letter was emailed to all shareholders to inform the shareholders of same. In the notice, shareholders were advised that voting by shareholders at this AGM will be facilitated electronically and in person by raise of hand. The resolutions to be voted on in this meeting are ordinary resolutions requiring a simple majority vote to be passed. Here are instructions on how to vote on the platform. To vote on a resolution, a pop-up modal window will appear on your screen. Select the for or against option to indicate your vote. Once you have selected the option of your choice, click submit. You may also select the vote now option located to the right of your screen. Click on the resolution of your choice. Select the option for or against as it appears, then select submit. Results of all votes cast by shareholders present or represented by proxy will be tallied and shared with the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Allison Vaughan. I now invite Mr. Sixto Coy, partner from HLB Mayor Russell, to join us on the platform to present the auditor's report. For easy reference, the report can be found on page 70 of the annual report.
Thank you. Good morning, shareholders. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of Image Plus Limited. Report on the audit of the financial statements or opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Image Plus Consultants Limited, the company, which comprise a statement of financial position as at February 29, 2024, statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statements, including material accounting policy information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at February 29, 2024, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act. The basis for our opinion: we conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with International Ethics Standards, Board of Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, that's the IESBA code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters in our professional judgment we're of most significance in our audit of the financial statements for the current period. The matter was addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing an opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on this matter. We have determined that there are no key audit matters to communicate in our report. Responsibility of management and those charged with governance for the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to the going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the company or to cease operations, or as no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting process. The auditor's responsibility or objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue the auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error that are considered material if, individually or in aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of the financial statement. As part of the process, in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risks of material misstatements in the financial statements, obtain an understanding of the internal control relevant to the audit, evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies, and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management, conclude on the appropriateness of the management use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether material uncertainty exists related to the events or conditions that may exist, cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention to it in our auditor's report and related disclosures in financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that presents a true and fair view. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with the relevant ethical requirements regarding independence and communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence where applicable and the related safeguards. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, We determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe the matter in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter of when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because of the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on additional matters as required by the Jamaican Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from the examination of those records, and the financial statements which are in agreement therewith give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner required. Audit engagement partner resulting in the independent auditor's report is myself, Sixto Coy, signed HLB Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, Kingston, Jamaica, April 26, 2024. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Coy. Shareholders, each year we look forward to this opportunity to meet with you and share what your company has accomplished during the past year, the challenges faced, the obstacles we overcame, and the plans and strategies being implemented to ensure continued growth. I am pleased to hand over to Mrs. Keisha Anderson, our CEO, who will present the year in review.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, remember we're all here. If we're here, that means we weren't too badly impacted by burial, right? So we're happy to be here praying for those who were. Board chair and members, shareholders, our partners, HLB Mayor Russell, I saw Learn, Grow, Invest. I'm seeing KPMG. I'm not seeing M Squared. Getting to our media partners as well. Thank you for being here and for coming to support this company as we present our results for financial year 2024. Thank you for helping me with the clicker, Director Townsend. All right. So I often have to remind myself, because when you get caught up in numbers and figures and profit, as we need to be responsible to our shareholders, it could be easy to forget the kind of business that we are in, and our primary business is healthcare. And so I like to remind myself and focus a lot of times on purpose, because the purpose is the higher calling to which we're called. The company was created to provide invaluable services in the healthcare chain in Jamaica. And I think it's important that as we continue to grow and think about growth, we focus on our purpose. And here is a quote that we got from Dr. Chrisanne Simpson Harley. And I really, even though she speaks of Dr. Lewis, I wanted to imagine we have 13 Dr. Lewises, right? All our radiologists. But what stood out for me when she sent it so graciously was when she said, detailed scans will be done. There's a wide range of radiology services that are thoroughly done and patients feel at ease. Because in our business, when we're helping referring physicians to actually diagnose their patients, it's important that everybody that comes into us feels at ease and that we do our work thoroughly. So I want to always remind us to focus on the purpose of why we exist. Let's get into the results of financial year 2024. I'm sorry if the noise outside is a little bit distracting. I'm going to try to just speak loudly enough and ask you to bear with us. And if you can't hear, or if I'm going too quickly because of the noise, you can just raise your hand and I'll repeat the point. All right, so when we went public and we came last year to report on our first year's results, we actually indicated that there were 3 things that we wanted to accomplish in financial year 2024. We would, of course, continue to grow our revenues. And that's organically, meaning that we do more scans so that we can grow more revenue. We would wanted to put in 2 new modalities, and the reason that we wanted to do this is that modalities give you diversified income streams, right? And modalities, for shareholders who may not recall, are things like a CT is a modality, an X-ray, an ultrasound, etc. So we wanted to add 2 more because it was critical to round out all the services that we offered, and we indicated to you that we were going to put in MRI services, which we did in our Otrius location, and we started offering that in a soft launch in February of this year. And we put in mammography in 2 of our locations, one at Mollines Road and the other also in Otrius. Now, what modalities do, they diversify your income stream, and they give you, because we have several of the modalities across our 4 locations, we have redundancies. So if one machine goes on at one location, then we have another location we can refer patients to. We don't see any need immediately to add any more modalities. So when you hear us talking about buying machines in the future, it would be if we're going to replace or upgrade a machine, or if we are going to expand a little bit more on our interventional radiology services by buying another piece of equipment that works in conjunction with some of the equipment that we have already. So we think that we have everything in place now to offer a full range of services to our referring physicians and their patients. The other thing that we told you we were going to do is that we're going to secure a long-term location for our largest branch, because we would want to have our largest revenue generating branch being a rented property where at any point our landlord could choose to send us through the door, right? So we said it was important to do so, and we chose to use our IPO funds to actually buy property at where you now know we will be sometime in the future, 33 Lady Musgrave Road. And I'm sure persons are going to ask at some point what are our plans to fund that. I wanted to, before I moved on from just acknowledging that we achieved this last year, to really signal thanks and gratitude on behalf of us all to 2 of our team members. So everything that we do, it is a team effort, but it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge all the work done by Ramona Brown, who was our former branch manager in Ocherius, who took on the implementation of the new services like she was delivering a baby, you know, that kind of a way, every step of the way, no matter what time of the day or the hour. And her partner in crime, because he gave a lot of trouble, not because he's a criminal, Anthony Grizzle, our biomed and IT manager, who he just looked up because he wasn't listening, so he didn't know I was going to call his name, right? But Anthony really, I mean, day or night, Saturday, Sunday, you could just say we needed to go, and he really took it on. And I really want to acknowledge them for all the work that they did to have us have MRI in Ocherius. All right, so what did we accomplish? So that's all the nice things that we put in. What did we accomplish? Our revenue actually grew up to 1.195 billion. I'll speak about that more in a minute. Our profit before tax ended up at 224 million, which is slightly down over prior year, and I'll speak about that as well. And our earnings per share, which I know you all are interested in, were 17 cents as compared to 23 cents the prior year. So let's look at our revenue growth. I think as we go through the financial numbers, and of course I'm reading from pages 56 to 64, I'm speaking to those pages in the annual report if you're following, but every financial result tells a story. And as we go through the numbers for IPCL for 2024, I think what you'll see is that the story is it was a year focused on growing organically, but it was also a year focused on building out and investing in sustainable growth for the medium and long term. So we did 1.195 billion in revenues, which was 101.8 million, or 9.3% more than the prior year. And if you look at our compounded growth rate, it would be 20.44% over a 5-year period. Remember, I had shared last year that we grow revenue because we grow our scan count. So if we look at the current slide up, our scan count by modality will show that all our modalities, with the exception of nuclear medicine, grew in numbers, absolute number of scans year over year. Nuclear medicine is a little strange because even though the scan count didn't grow based on what was actually done, our revenue actually grew. And remember last year when I was here, we were talking about machine downtime, which is natural to our industry, and we spoke about the 129 Pro unit being down. Irrespective of that, our CT revenue grew and our scan count grew year over year. So we did 59,475 scans, or 8.5% increase. And again, because we're thinking of people, remember now that would be not necessarily the same amount of patients, because a patient can do more than one scan, but that's still a large number of Jamaicans that either through their doctors or their own choice chose to come to Apex Radiology for their services. You can clap us for that, you know. All right. So when we look at bimodality now, and the new modalities in particular, we will see that CT, which is in the lighter blue color there, number 3, the number of scans may not look very significant, but that was at the time our highest revenue generating modality. So per scan, we earned the most from a CT at that point in time. Our highest volume, though, in terms of number of scans would be in orange, and that would be ultrasounds. Because if you think about it, people do ultrasounds not only because they're ill, correct? You might do an ultrasound to get the good news about your upcoming baby, and you do multiple ones then. So that was the highest volume in terms of number of scans, whereas we made the most revenue from our CTs. And then the newer modalities, we would have had only 4 days of MRI at the end of the year based on when we started the soft launch, because remember our year ends in February. And so we did in that time period 21 scans, or about 5 per day, if you think about it like that. And for mammo, in the 144 days, we did 1,802. So that would be a little bit over 11 scans per day for mammo. So we are coming along. The new modalities, what you will find is that it's going to be steady growth until we get to a point where we start to take off. Because remember now, we have to, through our marketing team efforts, we have to let everybody know that we're doing it. Because they would know Apex Radiology, but not necessarily know us for those modalities. And also, we would take time as our team becomes accustomed to and familiar with delivering those modalities. It would take time to ramp up there. So going back to the numbers now, we had remember I said 9.3% growth in our revenue. Well, our profit before tax dipped by 27.7 million, or was 11% down, because we had a 14.1% growth in our direct costs and a 14.5% growth in our admin expenses. And I know you may be wondering, so why are we growing our expenses faster than we're growing our revenues, right? Because we can't spend more money in our households than we take in, right? At some point, it's going to catch up to us. Well, what you're going to find is that we had to do some things to invest in the future growth. So it's almost, it's like the expense had to go ahead of. So, for example, we'd have to hire the staff to deliver the new modalities. So that would increase that expense there by buying the equipment, which, unlike the property that we used the IPO money, the equipment we took loans to buy. So therefore, we would have the loan repayments that would start no matter if you do 1 more scan or 2 more scans per day, you get me? So immediately as you borrow the money for the mammo and the MRI, you would start paying back the loan on those, even if the scan count does not yet meet the level of that loan repayment. But you have to do that to invest in the growth. Also, remember, because our CT was down at 129 Pro last year, we would have had abnormal expenses for equipment repair, and then the cost of supplies. We are all hit with the cost and the inflationary impact of everything now, aren't we? And what we would have done is that we'd try our best to look at the cost of delivering and hold that cost for as long as we could before passing it on. So the new equipment not only cost us the loan fees and the loan repayment, but also something called depreciation that you start to pay on the equipment once you put it into the business to start working. So outside of that, the larger other increase would have been in our technical staff costs, because last year we are all aware that the government of Jamaica would have done a public sector restructuring. And in so doing, they increased the costs of, or the salaries of, categories of workers in which our radiographers, who are technical team members now, fall. And of course, we need to retain our talent, because we wouldn't want our team to say, well, we don't need to work at Apex anymore because now the government is paying me more, right? So we would have increased our salaries to match that of the public sector. And so we had some increase in salaries there. So the revenue went up, the scan count went up, but the profit before tax went down because our expenses grew faster because we're front running the expenses for the new modalities, and we had other things like the bank interest and the repayment on the loans, and we would have had depreciation impacting us as well. Now, you may wonder why the profit after tax figure went down, because being a entity on the junior market, we would have 5 years of income tax break. However, in the prior year, there was an under provision of 12.4 million, and so we had to reflect that in this year. So our profit after tax figure went down from 236.4 in prior year to 211.9 in this year, in large part because of that provision for income tax that was understated. If we look at our balance sheet for just a minute, we would notice that our return on average equity and return on average assets also declined somewhat, and the return on average assets would have declined because we had bought more equipment and real estate, and so the return, based on that growing, the return would be less given the revenue reduction as well. And our return on average assets also went down due to increases in share capital from the IPO and our growth in retained earnings. And I know the shareholders are going to say, then if the growth in retained earnings is a problem, pay us some more dividends, right? Nobody going to say that? Oh, okay. Sound like they're good. All right. Looking at our 5-year cash flow, I think the only thing I'd want to point out here is that the net cash from operating activities, and the slide is going to come up in a minute, there's a little bit of a delay. So the cash flow from our operating activities continues to be healthy, and then we would have used cash, the cash we had on investments last year to purchase property, plant, and equipment, and you would have seen the cash from financing going up as we borrowed money, as I said, to buy the MRI and the mammo equipment. So that's all in the past, and whereas our past performance can be an indicator of future, we need to talk about now what we're going to do. Because we see, I think everybody, I'm hoping based on my explanation, would know what we need to do now, right? To grow, to continue growing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't actually speak to the earnings per share, but I'd said it before. I don't think I have anything much more to say on that. So looking ahead and acknowledging what's working and what we need to do now, I think everybody would acknowledge that the key to the future now is to grow our revenues, pick up that pace in growing our revenues. And I would like to, before I speak about that, just stop to acknowledge our newest team member, which we would have told the stock exchange by way of an advisory, our Chief Operations Officer, and that's Dr. Wendy Gay Thomas. Wendy, could you stand for me? Okay, so Wendy is a key part of our future because she's going to support us in ensuring that we grow efficiently, right? And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So 2025 and beyond, we're looking at growth. What do we need to grow first of all? So we spoke about two new modalities, and I spoke about the scan count that we had in the very early and preliminary days. You're gone way ahead. So, thank you. All right, so what we need to do now is to maximize the return on that. We're very encouraged by the demand for MRI services in Ocho Rios, and we recognize that it's probably because that area doesn't have many options. We also recognize that our unit allows us to do two particular types of studies that aren't done by a lot of other providers, and that's MRI of the breast and the prostate. And I guess also in keeping with what's happening, we would hear a lot more cases of persons needing to be screened for breast cancer and prostate cancer, right? And so we need to grow our MRI modality. And we believe that the market is ripe for it based on the demand that we have seen. So we know as a management team that it's all about our execution. And that's what we're going to be focused on, ensuring that we get it right, our execution, so that we increase our scans per day and increase our scans in a sustainable way into the future. We also are going to focus in growing our MRI business on the source of our referrals. So we do get referrals from both private physicians in their private offices, or if patients go to the hospitals, we want to ensure we have a healthy balance between our private physician referral and our hospital referrals. The story for Mammo is a little bit different in that in Ocherius there is the demand and we see it growing, whereas in Kingston, I think we have to do a little bit more awareness because there's more competition for Mammo services. In Kingston, the ladies would know this. I mean, there are very many options that you may have chosen to go, and you probably wouldn't associate Image Plus Apex Radiology with Mammo services. So we're focused on growing those two new modalities, and I look forward to coming and telling you next year how well we are doing in that regard. The other thing that we're focused on doing is looking at our patient journey, which Director Townsend doesn't like the name journey because he says it sounds like it's a long thing. It's not a long thing, right? It's just meant to say that at each step of the way, you're having an experience with us. So there's a journey when you come to do, you get the referral from the doctor. The doctor may give the patient a referral on an Apex Radiology referral pad, or they may give for another imaging entity. But we want them to always think, once I get a referral to diagnostic imaging, that Apex Radiology is a clear choice for all our diagnostic imaging needs. So referral, we're going to focus on that. What's our interaction with our doctors? What's the interaction with the patients? How they actually can look us up. When you Google, do we come up first as an option, second, that kind of a thing. Our appointment coordination, when you call, right now patients can either send in a request via WhatsApp, or they can call directly, or they can go on our website. We're going to look at the coordination between appointments coming from all those sources. When the patient actually comes in, what's the registration process? When they come in and they register, how quickly they get on a bed and off a bed, and they leave happy that their scan was done successfully, and being very clear as to what the next steps are with their report and going back to their doctor. And then we have to distribute the reports to the doctors, and then the doctors do the review and follow up. We want to look at every step of this process to ensure we're doing it efficiently, meaning that we're delivering it with good care to the patients and at the least cost to our companies, so that we can make more profit for our shareholders. We're going to examine in this process what technology we may need to employ, but we are sure that we'll have two wins coming out of it. We'll have the win of the patient experience, and we'll have the win of a more efficient and standardized process across all our branches. The other thing that we must seriously consider is the competitive landscape. I bet you all didn't know there were so many diagnostic imaging entities. All right, that's a whole lot. Don't study them, because you only come into Apex, but I just put them there so you can know they exist. But I put them there because I want to say that the company in which you have invested is well poised where we are now because of our size. Remember, we are one of few that have multiple branches, and because of our locations. There are some parishes that we believe, given the age of the population and the kind of lifestyle diseases that we see evolving, that we actually belong in those parishes. And so we're examining them. Therefore, as we look at the competitors and where they are, and we would have to say to ourselves, who would be a good target should we want to grow inorganically? That means grow by acquiring somebody else, right? And it would be important for us to identify somebody who's going to add immediate value to us, meaning a going concern, because you guys see how capital intensive a MRI and a mammo machine is. Imagine if we want to go to another location and start from scratch, we're going to have to go buy all of that equipment. So it actually makes sense that we look for somebody with the same kind of passion and belief around service in a location where we don't exist, and determine whether or not that would be a good strategy for acquisition. And we believe that adding that type of inorganic growth is going to allow us to grow at a faster pace. Follow me? Agree? Agreed. Okay. All right. So we will be looking at this as the board goes into our strategy planning for the next 2 to 3 years and determining what options there are to do so. So our focus, if I could just wrap up, would be that we are going to look at our patient experience and ensure that we're delivering it with the best care, standardized, and at the most efficient cost. And that we're going to ensure that when we do surveys now, about 40% of our patients say that they chose us irrespective of where the doctor told them to come. We want that number to go up, right? We're going to look at how we manage our costs. Every dollar we spend must either be linked to revenue generation or an efficiency initiative so that we can deliver at a cheaper pace and make more profit per dollar. And we're going to explore opportunities for inorganic revenue growth. And then finally, our big project is our 33 Lady Musgrave project. So that's where our future home of our Winchester branch will be located. We believe it's a very good property in a prime location, accessible from many different routes, not too much in the hustle and bustle traffic of Halfway Tree or New Kingston or along Constant Spring Road. And we believe that given where we are, we will be able to offer a whole comprehensive suite of services in a comfortable space to all our patients. But how are we going to fund it? I know that's going to be the question. I don't think as a board we want to look at borrowing. We don't think that may be acting in the best interest of the shareholders. So that will leave us with two options, which would be either going at the route of a joint venture partnership or going the route of coming back to the market. So we're going to deliberate that as we have our strategic conversations and come back to you. But this is something that we're aiming to be a reality in financial year 2026, which would end in February 2026, right? Yes. That's so we want it to be a reality by then. We know it's an aggressive timeline. We think it's possible, but I think by the time we get to the second quarter of this year and we're doing our investor brief updates, we'll be able to give you some more direction on that. So as I started, I end by just saying that our team members remain very engaged, because we can have every plan on paper, but unless we have the team to engage and deliver it, the plan is really worth not much. So this is a statement that one of our radiographers, Jelani, and he actually is now delivering MRI services, also developing himself as he helps the business to grow. And really what touched me about it is that he says how important he saw his role and the huge amount of responsibility he has, but that it allowed him to express his creative side and give a high standard of safety and care to all his patients. And then one of our radiologists, Dr. Levy, spoke to the hope that she thinks that her profession gives, and that for her job is very fulfilling. So in ending, Dr. Swaby, Peter Swaby, is one of the doctors at Apex Healthcare. He's near our Malines Road location, and he spoke quite graciously to the 20 years of experience that he has had with us, and that we give reliable, so the accuracy of our reports, and timely, the efficiency in getting the reports so you can diagnose his patients faster. I thank you, and I welcome your questions at the opportune time.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson, for that in-depth, informative presentation. And as I'm sure there are burning questions, we are going to go straight into our question and answer segment, which will be moderated by Director Townsend. Please observe the protocols previously outlined as we strive to give everyone the opportunity to participate. We will be making every effort to address questions submitted prior to the meeting as well as online today, along with those from persons in the room. For those in the room, please identify yourself as you rise to speak. Director Townsend.
Thank you, Chair. All right, so we're in our Q&A. I'm just checking to see if there are any questions online. Sure. I don't see any as yet. So, are there any? Oh, there's a gentleman at the mic.
Good morning, Mr. Townsend.
Morning, sir.
Jason Craig Watson here. Former shareholder, but future shareholder. If you understand what I mean. I had to get out of the market for a little bit, but
Okay.
I'm back in the market due to some other reasons beyond my control.
All right.
Anyway, Mrs. Anderson, very good presentation. I didn't expect anything less. One of the things that was a question related to that real estate, the new venue. Where exactly is 33? Is that the new premises that Signa sold?
No. So 33 is, for those who know where AC Hotel is, I think
Yeah.
that's the most obvious landmark. It's right across from AC Hotel on the other side of the road. Beside
Okay.
there's a Yamaha boat.
Boats.
Yeah, and a little
okay.
further down, the valuators, the people at the car valuations are right there. MSC McKay.
Okay, so no work has yet been started yet.
No, what we
Oh,
have done
okay.
is actually just demolished what was there and actually cleared the land.
Okay, yeah, I think
and
I
we
saw the
actually,
land,
yes.
yeah. Okay, because I was trying to get it mixed up whether it was further up Lady Musgrave Road or the new building where Remax is putting up right in front of the stoplight there. Okay. All right. Now, on page 43, you made mention that in the section of looking ahead, you say you want to recruit a team member to make our graphic designs and social media activities that were previously outsourced. Have you recruited that team members yet?
Yes, we have in, and she's here in the room too. Ashanta, you need to come up here and make your appearance. So what we recognize, shareholder Jason, is that we actually look for people fit for the purpose of the job.
Yeah.
So who knows this whole space better than the average age of the people up here?
Yeah.
Right. So Ashanta,
Younger
come to the front, man, so they can see you.
Okay, I think I met her earlier.
Yes,
She's a
yes.
communications officer.
Communications, right. So
Okay.
Ashanta is very passionate, and she's telling me all the things that when I'm engaged in social media, I do it wrong. So Ashanta, welcome. She just
Okay.
started with us in June, and she's very excited about her job.
Yes, I must say that I engaged very, very well with her this morning. So that's good to know. I was just making sure that this was not just written words, but it was put into action. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Accountability is important.
All right, so we have 2 questions online. And the first one here is for you, Keisha. It says, I have sent multiple emails to shareholders at apexradiology.com regarding itinerary and have not received a response. A few listed companies have handed over shareholder information, that's TRN, JCS, the account number, etc., to this private third-party company itinerary. Thus, they have a list of hundreds of thousands of investors and the companies we have invested in. This is private, sensitive information most investors only share with close family members. In relation to data privacy, how is IPCL ensuring itinerary is not misusing shareholders' information? And secondly, has IPCL confirmed that itinerary has been independently audited in terms of IT security?
Okay, those are all very good questions. I'm not sure I can answer all of them. What I will say is that our move towards registration, we have actually started a process to register for the data protection under the Data Protection Act. So we are in process. As it relates to using itinerary, to be honest, I didn't find out if they were in process. So that's something now that we will do. As it relates to passing over information, I don't think the level of detail that the shareholder is concerned about having that itinerary has all of that. They actually collect information and then it's verified outside of their platform. But I will take the feedback as something that we will explore and then respond to let persons know how their information is protected.
All right, thank you for that. And we have a question from the audience.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Howard Wolf. Earlier, Mrs. Anderson spoke about downtime. I was wondering if there's a strategy to limit downtime. That's one question. And the other question is, have you preliminarily identified any possible target for acquisition?
So I know you smile when you ask the second question because you don't expect me to answer you. But I guess if we haven't collectively had a conversation about it yet, because that's coming up. But I'm sure if I poll all of the members of the board, those would be looking at it from the business perspective, and those would be looking at it because they're radiologists in the industry. Everybody would probably have their list of number 1 or 2. So that's the work that we have to do. As it relates to machine downtime, it's a natural part of our industry because machines go down for various reasons. But what we do is that we have a preventative maintenance schedule for all of our units, and we go through and we service, and then we monitor when a machine goes down from day 1 how long it actually takes to bring it back up. What we find is that the longest period is when because parts aren't stored in Jamaica for any of these units. When you have to bring in parts from overseas, and then you get into kind of a logistic issue. And remember, our parts are not parts like a simple fuse or a bulb, etc. They're parts that cost tens of thousands of US dollars. So it's not like you can just buy parts for different machines and put them down. You'd be tying up cash flow. So we really try to work with our suppliers to shorten the time. And our broker, who is actually a shareholder, he just walked in. Mr. Leslie Edwards from PA Nelson actually really works with us to ensure that as it lands, we get it cleared so that we can try and get the machine up as soon as possible.
All right, thank you.
Thank you too for the question.
Thank you much. All right, another question online. This is from David Maitland Williams. It says there are a number of small independent operators throughout Jamaica, not shown on your list. Why not start there instead of major players? That's for you.
Right. What you find is that these small independent operators, one, they're not going to have their financials in anywhere near state of readiness. So it would actually be going in and doing a lot of work around getting the business ready to even be acquired. And then 2, remember, we're trying to, with deliberate strategy, grow at a quick pace by acquiring a going concern that has a good client base and good revenues. So a smaller player may not be the best option, especially also the modalities that they're going to offer will be things like ultrasound and x-ray, which are not the things that are really going to move the needle and that we actually need more of in our portfolio.
All right. Another question online. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Martel Fennell, and shareholder. Just an observation I have. You did quite well, you know. When I look at your P&L, I realize that your fall in profits was accounted for mostly depreciation, not talking about salaries now. Your depreciation increase was 20 million plus, and your fall in profits was 24 million plus. So that depreciation accounted for 85% of your fall in profits. So I'd like to congratulate you.
Thank you.
One more thing, I think I saw something online about a list of top 10 shareholders. Is there any restriction in listing the top 20?
I am not sure if our partners, KPMG, actually track more than the top.
Yeah.
Stock exchange rules by which we adhere does require top 10. If we choose to go to top 20, it is something that we would have to discuss because there may be other shareholders who are in from 11 downwards may not want their information. But what is required by law under the Companies Act and
10.
the stock exchange rule is the top 10.
Okay, so there apparently is a restriction.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you too.
Thank you. All right, another question online from Sheldon Christian. It says, Mrs. Anderson mentioned about not wanting to borrow, but instead might go to the market for expansion in Kingston. Can she explain why this option would be better than borrowing?
Well, what I would say is that if we look on the impact of borrowing in terms of our finance costs for this year, and it wouldn't be the full year, because when we would have gotten the loan, and starts to pay back maybe just a few months. But I think we're going to see that the finance costs are a significant burden in terms of expenses going forward. And that's why we wouldn't necessarily choose. It doesn't mean that we would never think to do it, but it wouldn't be our first option, I would say, talking out of turn since the directors didn't all yet agree on that. But that's my thought.
Right, thanks. Another question from Karina Bennett. Can you say whether the designs have been done and approved for the new building, as well as to provide an update on how the building will be used? Is there a preliminary estimate on the cost of the development?
No, it's too premature for all of that. We don't have that detail. But I would say that the first part, we do have designs and outlay, etc., looking at, but we have not yet approved. And so we wouldn't get to the point about cost, etc.
All right. And another question here from, well, there are two questions from David Maitland Williams. First one is, will the company in going forward looking to keep radiology reporting as a possible area for growth?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
That's for you, Dr. Lewis. And yeah.
Oh, outsourcing. Hold on.
Sorry, thanks for that question. Yeah, that is a possibility that we're looking into. I mean, the amount of work or the demand for imaging grows, maybe outstripping the ability of training and acquiring radiologists. So in terms of looking at reporting, getting the reports so quickly, we have to look at strategies now to have people that are off-site who are not necessarily in office reporting quicker so that we can get our report turnaround times down. I'm not sure if that's what answers the question.
Well, let's hope so. All right, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions online. Are there any other questions from the physical audience? No, I scroll down. I think we answered those already. I did. Yeah, I did. I can do it again.
Ask if you're refreshed.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Oh, one just came in from Nicole Hales. Let me first say well done on year-to-date revenue versus expenditure comparables. You spoke about expanding equipment acquisition to widen the scope of services, which is commendable. However, in terms of technology and the direction the world is moving in, treatment and preventative care, what plans and some of the technological advances will Apex Radiology be looking to undertake?
Well, I see Dr. Lewis looking at me. I don't know if he wants to jump in on this, but I would say that, remember, we're not the primary physician. You know, the patient is referred to us by their primary physician. So we actually would be, when we get those referrals, to actually do scans that helps the primary physician to diagnose. So the whole thing about preventative maintenance and lifestyle things would not be in our purview. That would be dealing with the primary physician, and also just the choices that people make in terms of lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I think the part of our question was plans around technological advances. So the new technology, I guess, like AI and so on and so forth.
All right. Yes. So I think AI is poised to change almost every single aspect of our lives, and radiology is no different. There has been a lot of work in looking at using AI in terms of imaging the machines, in terms of actually looking at images to make diagnoses, and also in structuring reports. If we want to think of AI as a human being, which may not be a very good analogy, we're still in kind of the toddler years right now, where there's a lot of potential, but we're not quite sure what it will grow up to be, what its role will be. So we have to wait until the dust settles and see, do our evaluation. The mantra for most companies to move fast and break things. I don't think that's a good mantra for medicine. So we're going to wait. We're going to look at everything and see where the dust settles. Essentially, in my view, it's going to be a very important tool going forward in terms of diagnosing as the amount of imaging requests increase. And to our previous question, if they not have enough radiologists to report, AI can definitely be a tool to increase the amount of reports, decrease the reporting time, and reporting accuracy. So yes, we're looking at that carefully.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Also, in terms of, although we're primarily a diagnostic facility, diagnosing diseases and stuff, of course, we take part in screening, which helps in keeping people healthy. And that's where our mammograms, which we recently acquired, come in. And so we do a lot of screening mammograms, and we'll be increasing that. And with the marketing, our numbers will go up, and we do virtual colonoscopy and other things that also help with screening and helping with lifestyle and keeping people healthy. Right.
Thank you, Dr. Bridgewater. Go ahead.
Yes.
Hello, good morning. Carol
morning.
Leslie, shareholder. Just a follow up on what Ms. Anderson was saying, that you'd have to go back to the market to see if you could get funding for Our Lady Musgrave, location you plan to build in. But I just want to make a suggestion that you can go and, advertise out in the clinics, if you have, your communication officer, and, you can go out and advertise yourself out in the clinics and let them know of these various services that you offer. I believe that would be a good, place to start. Let them know that you give them little discount, give them little things so that, they to encourage them to come in and, do business with you.
Thank
All
you.
right?
It's a suggestion for how to grow revenue.
How to grow, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Our marketing team does that. It sounds like they wanted to do some more.
Yes. All right, so I don't see any other questions online, and I did refresh. So, one more question from the audience.
It's a media partner.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Luke Douglas from the Gleaner.
We didn't hear the name.
Oh. I'm Luke Douglas.
Luke Douglas.
Luke Douglas.
From
Okay.
the Gleaner.
From the Gleaner.
Right.
So I just wanted to ask generally, how does Jamaica compare with other countries with respect to diagnostic services? Are we large users of these services? Are our population behind in comparison to countries in the region, the United States, and so on? So that's one. And the other is, how important is the diaspora to your growth?
All right. Thank you, Luke.
I'm not so sure about the first question.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe one of the radiologists can proffer an answer for the first question.
Well, I know we participate annually in the RSNA, which stands for Radiological Society of North America. That's what it, right? So I know we're there, but I don't know if they're giving any data that would kind of give a sense of how big Jamaica is in the.
All right. Thanks for that question. I'm not sure we have any hard numbers to give you, but just from working in the industry and speaking with our colleagues abroad. In terms of North America and the first world countries, we're, of course, behind for economic reasons, right? Because remember, every scan or study that's done in radiology costs, right? And our population can't always afford, right? And that's why, as a matter of fact, our doctors, and it's well known in North America that our doctors from Jamaica, or clinicians, are very good, because we have to stick to basic medical principles in diagnosing based on the clinical examination and the history of the patient, the clinical, and then we go to our diagnostic facilities to assist, whereas in North America, more and more, they're depending on the diagnostic facilities almost completely. From people walking to the hospital, you're getting a CT and all these things, which we can't afford, our population can't afford, right? However, they are moving towards it because it's better medical care. As much as you're a good clinician, right, you do need these studies. So we have seen an increase, and the move by the government with the MOH to include us private practitioners in providing these services at the government level have really helped, and that has caused an increase in diagnostic radiological facilities. So we are increasing in keeping with good medical standards and stuff, but we wouldn't be using it as much as in North America, where it may be that they're actually in discussions where they're using too much, right? So we don't want to get into that at all. In comparison to the other Caribbean islands, I think we're at the top, right? We actually have patients that come from other islands to get diagnostic studies done in Jamaica, radiological studies and stuff. So we're leading in that way. But we all come in next on the weekend coming here. I'm actually going to be attending a conference, the Caribbean Society of Radiologists, where we network and discuss with each other and help and keep each other up to date and move forward together. All right, thank you. Hope that helps.
And at part two, what we note for our diaspora is that one, when they come home to visit, quite a few actually come to our facilities to do their examinations, and just like in every other industry, they come.
Yes,
they actually come and do.
They
Yes.
actually come to Jamaica to do their studies. Quite a few people in the diaspora.
And then the other thing, like every other industry, they actually support their family members through remittances to come and get their examinations done. And we facilitate payments coming from overseas as well when persons are supporting family members to do their scans.
Just before you go, let me just take one online. This is again from David Maitland Williams. For mammography, are you looking into mobile mammography?
Not at this time. Not at this time. But I will not. I never say never, but not at this time.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on question Luke asked in terms of what is the radiology industry's relationship with the insurance industry in terms of probably funding studies and scans and stuff.
Well,
like
what I can say is that in particular time, so when it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they actually, both of the larger providers actually worked with us and overseas entities to send women for screening that they provided and paid for. So I don't know if it's something that they plan to ramp up and increase, but it was very useful because the persons that they actually sponsored would not have been able to afford it otherwise. So,
All right. Thank you very much. I think that's it. I don't see any other questions online, and I don't see any in the audience. So thank you all for a very robust Q&A session.
I'd also like to say thanks to all who participated. The board welcomes the engagement and dialogue with shareholders. All comments and opinions are valued and important in helping us to achieve the goals of the company. Shareholders, we will now raise and vote on the 5 ordinary resolutions outlined in the notice of the meeting on page 6 of the annual report. I will now read each resolution and ask a shareholder who is physically present to move that each resolution be put to the meeting, and another shareholder who is either physically or virtually present to second the motion. The tally of the votes will be displayed on the screens. Are we ready? Ready. Okay. All right, resolution 1. To receive the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited accounts for the 12 months ending February 29, 2024. That the audited accounts and the reports of the directors and auditors for the year ended February 29, 2024, circulated with a notice convening the meeting, be and are hereby adopted. May I have a shareholder in the room to raise the motion? Thank you. And someone to second? Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay. Okay, so those in the room will vote by raising your hand. Those in favor? Thank you. Any against? Okay, right. Shareholders online, click vote now at the bottom of your screen. Select the for or against option. Select submit vote at the bottom of the pop-up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 2, to ratify interim dividend payment and declare it final. That the interim dividend of 3 cents per share paid on July 11, 2024 be and is hereby ratified and declared as the final dividend in respect of the year under review. A shareholder to raise? Thank you. And someone to second? Thank you. Mhm. Those in favor? Thank you. Any against? Thank you. Okay, I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 3, to reappoint directors retiring by rotation pursuant to Article 105. The directors retiring from office by rotation pursuant to Article 105 of the company's Articles of Incorporation are directors Dr. Stephen Lewis, Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan, and Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, who, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. Resolution 3A, that Dr. Stephen Lewis, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected as a director of the company. May I have someone to propose? Thank you. And someone to second? Thank you. Okay. Those in favor? Any against? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 3B, that Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. A proposal? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All right. Those in favor? Thank you. Any against? I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 3C, that Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Someone to raise the motion, please. Thank you. And the second? Thank you. Those in favor? Thank you. Any against? I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 4, to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. That HLB May Russell, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby reappointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. Someone to propose, please. Thank you, sir. And second. Thank you. Those in favor? Thank you. Those against? I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 5, to approve directors' remuneration. That the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended February 29, 2024, as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. Someone to move, please. Thank you. And second, thank you. Okay. Those in favor? Thank you. Those against? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Thank you, shareholders. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude the 2024 AGM of IPCL, I wish to extend my sincere thanks to all who participated for your valuable contributions and insightful discussions. To our board members and our management team, we are grateful for your leadership and dedication to the success of the company. Your insights and attention to detail have guided us through another challenging but rewarding year. To our team members who are at the heart of the service we provide to our clients, we thank you for your passion and your tireless efforts on the front line that ensure that IPCL remains at the forefront of diagnostic imaging in Jamaica. To our shareholders, we sincerely thank you for your continued trust and support. We are committed to bringing value to your investment as we remain true to our core values and our mission. As we close, I would also like to extend our gratitude to all our stakeholders and partners who have supported our achievements through critical alliances. A special thank you to our marketing team and to the teams at Affinity, M Squared, Amazing Events, and the Terra Hotel for the coordination of another successful meeting. Everyone, please continue to enjoy the refreshments before you go and enjoy the rest of the day. We look forward to seeing you again next year.